Hello, everybody. Depending on where in the country you're located, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Eli Laycock. I'm happy to be representing FYUSA today. And I'd just like to thank you so much for joining us. We're living through a very interesting time in the moment with COVID-19 and all the challenges that have arisen from it. Fortunately, we have with us today 4 different accounting firms from across the country for our community outreach panel. They're going to be sharing with us what they've been doing to help their business clients through this difficult time, as well as what they're doing to ensure their own accounting businesses continue running smoothly. But before we jump into that, let me first introduce our host, Mr. Sia Cal. Sia has spent most of his career developing business improvement methodologies for accounting and law firms. He's created compelling professional courses and workshops accredited for CPE and seminars attended by hundreds of firms worldwide. Sia has enabled hundreds of partners and their teams to resolve issues that impeded their ability to achieve success beyond expectations. His passion is to instill morality and fair dealing in the business world to cultivate relationships. His key to success has been putting people before profit and teaching others to do the same. So, Sia, over to you.
Thank you, Eli, for that very kind introduction. If I can just have you with me wherever I go so you can make that introduction before I walk in the room, that would be fantastic. That will certainly put me in good light. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Our purpose for doing this webinar is really bringing a community together and seeing how we can really help businesses, small businesses who are very hurting very much right now. And also, in doing so, what we can do to make sure that you accounting firms have what you need in support of all the great things that you are doing for these small businesses. So with that in mind, I want to, if I may, for just a little bit, go over the specifics of what we're going to cover. And there's very 2 specific areas we're going to focus on today's webinar. On accounting firms, as I mentioned earlier, and pretty much what has the coronavirus impact been on your firms, and also what has been your response to this crisis. So we're going to discuss that. Then we're going to get into what's generally happening with businesses overall, and that's your business clients and just businesses, and what has been the impact of these crises on businesses and what's been their response. And there's a parallel there, folks. What is good for you is good for your business clients and for businesses in general. So we want to share those thoughts, those ideas, and accurate information that we're receiving continuously from government in regards to any kind of loans or any other supportive initiatives, that is being passed through the Congress. And so there's a parallel world there, and we want to make sure that we're connecting all the dots. And in fact, we are discussing what you can do to help your business clients moving forward. Now, in doing this, I want to make sure that all your questions are answered. So please, as we go through today's webinar, if you have any questions whatsoever, please go into the chat box and write your questions. And if your questions is, if you have a question that is specific to one of our panelists, you can put down their name. This question is for Andrea, for Emily, for Debbie, for Dan, and ask your question. If it's just to anyone who can answer, then we would love to read your questions at the end of our webinar. So with that in mind, let's get right into it. Let me introduce to you, let me gush a little bit over my panelists. I think, we have many talented CPAs, accountants across the country. And what I was really searching for in doing this webinar, it was anyone who really has a heart to help, to really help, because intentions are important. And I'm very excited to bring to you 4 very talented, skillful accountants, CPAs that are, they have a heart to help, and they're going to share with you their pearls of wisdom. We are recording this webinar, so feel free to ask for a recording and share it with whomever that needs to get this information. So Without much delay, excuse me, I mentioned we have a very talented panelist here. They are from across the country. We've covered all bases here. From the front lines, the worst place right now in the whole entire country that is dealing with this is New York State, and more specifically, New York City. And I have Andrea Parness from Parness Company CPA, CTC from New York City is joining us. And I'll give an opportunity for all of them to say a little bit about themselves. I have Dan Whittaker representing California from Whittaker and Company. I have Debby Miller from Phases Accounting representing Colorado. And I have none other than Emily Fisher herself here from Fisher, Fisher, PA from North Carolina. And they are representing their states, but more importantly, they're reaching out to the entire country in general to help where they can. So real quick, if we can start with Andrea, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself to our attendees who may not be familiar with you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us. And thank you, Sia and Eli, for hosting us. I'm, as you know, from New York City. I'm actually from a kind of secluded area in New York City, which makes me somewhat lucky. So that when all this broke out, I said to my staff, everybody is working remotely. And we were able to do that. One of my staff members actually came and stayed with me in our guest room. And so the two of us are here and everybody else is remote from us. We have a niche firm. We do, we work mostly with physicians. And so the challenge recently has been, how do we help them stay in business when they're really on the front lines working, and we want them to be safely working and supporting, you know, their staff and their patients and so forth. And we also do tax minimization plans, which we find is really fun. And before this happened, we had nothing to do. We were bored. No, I'm kidding. So before this all happened, we were crazy busy, and now we're just busier. And so one of the things I did want to mention is that my firm and I are Hurricane Sandy survivors. My office was destroyed during that hurricane. And so this for me has been very, very much like a repeat of how we felt back then. And it was about, you know, organizing our office, cleaning things out, getting a new set of computers, and being able to set up in a makeshift space and be there to help our clients. And so this feels very much like Hurricane Sandy revisited. Only scarier, because once the hurricane was done, it was just physical property, and here we are every day worrying about people getting sick. So
I can't wait to hear more. We have background noise. I don't know. Oh, and maybe you, Andrea. Anyway, we can't wait to hear more from you. I think the fact that you've already been through this with Hurricane Sandy has given you some insight in what you need to do. And this, as they say, it's not your first time at the rodeo, but of course it is more serious. So can't wait to hear what you have to share today. Dan, if you can go next and tell us a little bit about your firm and what's unique, and just something for our attendees to learn more about you, please.
Yeah, good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are in the United States right now. So we have a firm here in Southern California, specifically Seal Beach. We've been in business for, I think it's 21 years now. It was 1999, so 21 years now. So we've been around a long time. We've got a really good, strong team of 11 people. And, you know, I think we were chugging along, and tax season was going great. Our business is primarily focused on middle market and lower middle market clients. So not really individual tax work at all. So we have seen a lot of changes, obviously, in the last 2 weeks. We decided, let's see, I guess it was the weekend of March 15th. Shelly and I were talking about, hey, you know, Monday's coming. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world with COVID-19. We should probably consider taking our team virtual. And on Monday, we went into the office and told everybody, hey, let's all go home and work from home. So we did that starting on March 16th. You know, I think the good thing for us is 100% of our software has been in the cloud since 2009. So for our team to go home and work from home, it's kind of been a non-event as far as software working properly and computers working properly. I think for us, it's, you know, it has been, I'm not going to say a learning process, but we've all been communicating remotely using Microsoft Teams and having, you know, a morning check-in with everybody, which is just a little bit different than we've, you know, done it in the past. But yeah, so that's where we are. Southern California. It's, you know, so far we're on lockdown, I guess, for the next 30 days at least.
Yeah, I think it may be a little bit longer than that, Dan. But thanks for thanks for the hope.
Yeah.
In sharing that information. Can't wait to hear about what you guys have been doing with your clients as well. We're moving to Debby Miller, representing Colorado. Debby, if you want to say something about your firm and yourself as well, we would appreciate it.
I don't know. Okay, hi. Debby Miller. My company's been in business since 1987, and we took a different approach to the COVID virus, and that we are not remote. Our client base is learning how to be remote, and so we're teaching them as we go along. We're in Colorado Springs, Colorado, so we have a lot of people in our town who are not on lockdown, because we have a lot of military people in this town, and they are all working. Most of our clients are contractors and real estate type businesses, so a lot of them are not completely shut down by the state yet. Thank goodness. So, but yeah, we're feeling fortunate, and everybody's healthy and happy, and so we're good.
If I've had the pleasure of meeting, I think everyone's team here, more or less, at least one person on your team, if not all of them. But Debby's setup in Colorado she's got a big office, and there's a lot of space in between the team members. So that's one of the reasons why she's been able to do this. So thank you, Debby, for sharing with us a little bit about yourself. Emily, if we can go ahead and hear a little bit about your firm and just a little bit about you for those on the webinar who may not be familiar with you.
Thank you, Sia. Thank you for organizing this.
Sure, of course.
Great to be able to just share these experiences with everyone, and then see what everyone else around the country is experiencing. So thank you. We are a public accounting firm focused mainly on tax compliance and business advisory and accounting services for local businesses. We work with a pretty wide range of industries. Like I said, we're located in Charlotte, which is a big financial hub, a growing city. We are now on lockdown. I guess the county went on lockdown first, and then statewide. So we really, I would say, just, watching the rest of the country as New York has been hit and so hard, and California. So I think we're all watching the news constantly, trying to prepare in advance, do what we can to prevent, more of a catastrophe, and for it, hopefully not to hit, our state so hard, so we can continue to help the rest. I would say, I started in the public accounting world in 2008, and that was like really in the middle of that recession. And so some of the strain and the stress on businesses is what I experienced, maybe like initially when I started in this industry. And so that has been watching them recover over the years, and now going through this again, it's really given me much more of a drive to want to help and see what I can do to help the recovery as quick as possible.
Yeah, what I hear, Emily, is that if you've been in business long enough, in an accounting business long enough, you've seen these things occur one way or another, whether if it's a hurricane, New York experience, or just some kind of recession that we went through. So we've all this time, and one way to look at it is that we've just really been prepared to deal with something like this, and we hope that we don't have to, but when the time comes, you know, look for the helpers. And I so appreciate the panel to give their time to really help out, and can't wait to hear more from you, Emily, as well, in terms of what how this has impacted you guys. So with that in mind, really, a lot of the firms out there look like this, guys. It's really empty because everyone's working from home. And frankly, businesses started to look like this. But, you know, there's a lot of good that is coming out. You know, I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I know when I turn on the news, it's just, you get hit with a lot of bad news, frankly, which is important for us to know. But at the same time, really, it's up to you and me and everyone else in the industry to start bringing some good news with our solutions, with our care, with rolling up the sleeves, literally, and saying, look, what we can do to help. There's some interesting stories that I think all of you will share today that will give some hope, not just to accountants and CPAs, but also to any business owner, really. And please, if you're watching this webinar, if you have questions, you have comments, you have anything that you need help with, please reach out to any of our panelists or to us. We're here to help. That's our agenda. That's what we want to do. And what we want to talk about next, guys, is how was your firm impacted with all of this, all these events, and what actions have you taken since this occurred? And so we're going to cover this. This is about just your firms, right? And so with that in mind, who would like to go? Who would like to start? Who would volunteer to answer these questions first?
I can go first.
Okay.
We were impacted. Accounting firms, the nice part about it is that we didn't have the rug pulled out from under us like some of our clients did. We were able, in Colorado, we're able to be an essential business. And so that allowed us to keep going. But we're seeing clients peeling off. And those are the ones we're trying to reach out to first, because they've clearly panicked and decided to just kind of roll over on their backs and play dead, I guess. So that was a big impact for us. The second piece was my team. We have a range of age in our team from 22 to 65. And I'm right there in the middle, kind of upper middle. And the reaction from my team, the different people had different reactions, and there was fear, there was unknown, and anger towards me as the owner of saying, hey, we're going to keep going and we're going to pull through this, and not giving them an out I mean, they can go ahead and file for unemployment if they want, but I think that was the biggest impact to me on my firm, was that the clients peeling off and the team's uneasiness.
Yeah, that was the initial shock, right?
Right.
Anyone experience a similar thing in your response to it? How did you handle it, Andrea?
You know, that's interesting, Debbie. The reaction that your team had, we had the opposite reaction. So that's really kind of crazy. I guess maybe because we've been through this before, but also two of my team members work remotely, and we were already set up for that. You're in Colorado, I'm in New York. I think you get snow also. So we are always prepared for like snow days, and they are always during tax season. So we already had a very secure system in place. And I always like to be proactive with myself, and anything that's important for me, I make my clients do. I don't really give them much of a choice. So we've had a payroll portal system forever. I don't know how long, but way before the hurricane. And at that point, my big concern that weekend was contacting all the clients and making sure that their people who I knew really needed to get paid that week. I didn't know whether we were going to have internet. I didn't know what we were going to have. And so that was always the big concern back then. So we've had a payroll system, a payroll portal system. We've used a payroll service. And it seems like for the loan documents that we have to get together, we've already gotten word that they've got the reports that we need. They don't stop calling, and we're sending the telephone off to one of my remote people, and it rings 4 times, and then she picks up, and we're happy that she's taking care of that.
You know, Andrea, you should answer the phone and said you're on live webinar. What is your problem? How can we help you?
No. I know what the problem is. What do I have to do? Who am I firing? Who am I hiring? Where's the money coming from? We know the questions.
Sure.
I'm sorry, but that kind of threw me off. So we were set, and what happened for me, what was frightening for me though, there was one frightening thing. My daughter is a 3rd-year anesthesiology resident, and she's actually working on these patients, and her fiance is a dermatologist resident, also starting in a hospital, supposed to be yesterday, today. So when they got on a Zoom meeting with us, and it was the weekend of March, like 7th and 8th, and I can see how concerned they were, I took it very seriously. So that was way before, and I think on Monday, that Monday is when everybody realized. But when we got the call from them, and we went on a meeting with my team when they were home that weekend, and I said, we're not coming in on Monday, and anybody that needs to come by and pick up a computer. If you want to link on with your laptop, that's fine. We already have been using video chat meetings with our clients. Most days during tax season, I'm on this all day long. So the technology wasn't an issue. We contacted our IT guy, and I said, I need to link up Elizabeth, Ramona, Raquel. And so that was very smooth. But what scared us was that my kids were so nervous, and I don't think that we understood as just regular people what was coming, but they saw it. So, but we just reacted right away, and we said, this is just like the hurricane. We've got to get as much information out. We've got to really triage and let people know. Just like with the hurricane, we actually set up a separate email because all our computers were destroyed back then. We set up an email to go out and say, we're all fine, we're here, whatever documents you need, they're in your portal. We have a document management system as well. So we knew that we'd be able to be their support. This time around, we didn't have to buy all new equipment. So it's a little bit cheaper this time, so that's good. So the impact was really figuring out like a new process, because most of the stuff was really done in-house.
Yeah.
And so that was a learning thing. And just like Dan, it sounds like we went to having a morning huddle. The 5-minute huddle became an hour today. We spent 2 hours trying to figure out what we're telling our clients about, you know, the loans that are out there. So it becomes an office meeting, and we're all shouting at each other. And I guess I'm the one with the controls, and I can shut everybody up, but I don't. So it's been very stressful. What I didn't mention is I live down the block from the beach, and when it gets really tough, actually every day, twice a day, I've been going down, taking a walk. The other day I saw dolphins during my run. So I go down and I take a deep breath. And sometimes when I'm working with a client and I see their background and I tell them, let me see your room. Oh, that looks nice. Oh, what's out there? Have you gone out today and taken a break?
Yeah.
So we kind of use all different methods to connect with people, maybe a little bit more now, but I think that has been very stressful for me, but also I'm able to really help people in this time, which is very comforting for me. So,
yeah. It's interesting because just like the mask on the plane, you really need one on yourself before you can help someone else out. And so, you know, I was, I think, Dan, when all this happened, one of the things you did was that you went to Arizona and to can you tell us a little bit about that and how, and are you going
Yeah.
back, and will you take me with you next time?
Yeah. So it's funny. So like we don't live as close to the beach as Andrea does. And beaches here have now been closed. But for the last 3 weekends, we've gone out to Arizona and gone dirt bike riding just to get out of here. And we can get out to Arizona in 3.5 hours, and it's gorgeous. It's the desert. We literally can ride all day long and run across people, but not really even see people. And it's just been a haven to get away and breathe.
And you were also like Andrea, you were set up pretty well to work remotely already, I think, Dan. So what exactly happened different than what the way you normally do things? What happened to you guys when all of this came about?
Yeah, so I said before, like we've had all of our software has been in the cloud since 2009. So the ability to work remotely has been there. We have just never had to do it. So when this happened again on the 16th, we just sent everybody home. We had an office meeting Monday morning and said, let's try to work from home. Let's make this happen. So we literally, everyone picked up their computers, their double monitors, took their monitors home, reconnected, and we were good to go. I think everybody checked in that afternoon. All of our phone system is voice over IP. So like Elise, our front, a receptionist, she's still answering phones, and she can send them to any of us, and nobody knows the difference. We're doing everything we can to communicate with our clients, really trying to be an offer of leadership. I think what the world needs right now is leaders, and for us as CPAs and business owners, we are the leaders that everyone needs right now. So we've actually started having webinars at 8 o'clock every Wednesday morning, which is just kind of a leadership meeting, talking about what we know is available in the marketplace, whether it's, payroll tax credits, SBA loans, et cetera. And then just kind of an open forum, like ask questions. Where are you struggling? What's going on? And just kind of getting our business owners to talk to each other, so that they all know that, they're not the only ones in this. We're all in this together, and we're all going to get through this together. So that's what we've done. I think from a team perspective, having our morning check-ins at 9:30 and everybody spending 15-20 minutes on the phone together has been great. We also use, I don't know if anybody else does, we use Microsoft Teams, but it's really allowed everybody to check in and talk in, kind of social media-esque, but it works really well. We have not had the situation that Debby had. And I think all of our team was excited we made the move so fast to go home. Yeah. And had a couple people on our team that felt like that made them feel safer, which is good, because as employers, we need to do that. Yeah. Haven't had, really any clients roll over. Everybody that we've talked to has a really positive attitude that, we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah. It's, what I've found is that in any business, whether accounting or any other type of business, usually crisis reveal strengths and weaknesses in all of us, and not just in terms of the business, but what we're dealing with personally, and what the team deals with personally. So it gives us an opportunity to evaluate what are the areas that we can strengthen. But it's good to hear that you guys are up on cloud, and there's that part of it hasn't been a big hurdle.
The other thing that I'm going to add in here is, I know Sia knows about this really deeply because he's been working with this, but we hired a marketing company through this process. And I think we're at the point that we were about ready to pull the trigger on hiring a marketing company anyway. This really pushed us to do that. And really the sole focus of the first month, 2 months, 3 months of our messaging is really going to be a leadership offer, and doing everything we can to help our clients and to do that, professionally. So that for us, you know, it doesn't, and for me, that doesn't matter what business you're in. Having the right messaging in the marketplace and helping our customers and our clients from our hearts is what we need to be doing.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Emily, you've had some personal experiences you want to share with us in terms of how this thing has really come close.
Yeah, I think it seems like we were almost on the same schedule with a lot of the other firms. The 16th is when we decided, that week of the 16th is when we decided to close to the public. Felt like the first, line of defense, we just wanted to make sure that we separated that distance from everyone coming in, especially during tax season, in and out of the office and putting the team at risk. But it wasn't until, oh gosh, it was so quick how everything happened. By that afternoon, once we decided to close to the public, just more information was coming out so quickly that we had a group huddle, sort of assessed really who was the highest risk on our team, and focused on making sure that we could handle everything internally. If they worked remotely, just sort of divvying out tasks and things that needed to be done. And then, gosh, so half of our office at that point was working remotely, and half of us were in the office, but we were all pretty separated. We have our own offices and sort of a large space as well. So we were able to keep that distance and then disinfect common areas. And then, gosh, we did that for, almost a week. And then we could see everybody was getting a little bit more relaxed, and I got to come in and get some files, or I'm going to come in and, I just want to work on this one project from my office computer because it's set up so much better and you can see. And then that was by about a week later, that Monday morning, one of our teammates had a phone call and announced, or they were trying to get in touch with them to tell them that they had been in very close contact with someone that had tested positive for COVID-19. And so, so much information was coming out, of course, that teammate just panicked and was immediately cleaning up everything they could and leaving the office. And it was just we thought we had already done a lot to distance everyone, and then just realized we really have to go to, complete, isolate everyone as much as possible. That was it just happened so fast. I was amazed, the information, how quickly it was changing, what was coming out. But I think we share sort of the same experiences with Dan and Andrea, that we already had a lot of software, everything was accessible, remote logins. We were already sort of set up to work remotely. We just needed to hone some of that, to sort of fine tune it and make sure that we had good ways of staying in touch with each other, really that internal communication. And that's probably one of the areas that we've been working on improving a lot now.
Wow. Close call, right? It's look, the projections show that there's going to be, we're going to apparently hit the peak in about a couple of weeks from now. So we're still haven't quite got there yet. And however, I think there's more to be done. And I'm like the rest of you, I'm trying to keep myself abreast of the latest information that is coming out. And since the stimulus package was passed, just like everything else within the government is not perfect, it's far from it. But what's important is that what it does offer for us to be able to connect the dots for the clients and allow them to take advantage of those resources. And I know all of you have been involved one shape or form in trying to keep the clients informed of things that change very, very rapidly. And so in moving to our second part of our conversation, our discussion for today, is how your clients have been impacted and what actions have you taken for them more specifically. Beyond just informing them and keeping them informed, what, if you can share with our attendees today, some examples perhaps, or some internal changes you've had in order to make sure that those who have been impacted are in fact getting practical help, and you're able to make that positive impact for them. Who would like to go first?
We actually, there has been so much information coming out constantly, and we actually have been working with a great team on SEO, and they were able to help us put up a website page, or another additional page on our website, and just focus all of the tools, the information, updates, everything in one place for our clients. That's what we've been trying to disseminate as quickly as possible. Thank goodness we have a lot of, I guess, good ways already established for communication through mass email. Our operations manager, she's a fantastic communicator, and she has stayed on it with updating our social media pages, trying to get that information out. I would like to say, Dan, I liked your, you mentioned, I think, something about maybe you were having conferences or Zoom meetings for some of your business owners.
Yeah, we're doing those every Wednesday morning from 8 to 9 o'clock.
I love that way, because I think that it's one thing to produce and provide the information, like all the pamphlets, any kind of details on it, but it's still hard to interpret. And so sometimes I think those meetings allow, right, for a good discussion, possibly between you and your clients at one time.
I've taken the position so far of not publishing and getting information out on a crazy basis, because the information has been changing so fast. It's not necessarily reliable. And I know me, just as a consumer and working with financial advisors, et cetera, we're getting bombarded with stuff. Everybody's getting, whether it's UBS or Merrill Lynch or the banks or anyone, we're just getting bombarded with information, and it's like not all of it even matches. So I've kind of taken the approach of not getting everything out there as fast as people are.
Right.
Yeah, and
I don't know that that's right or wrong. It's just the approach we've taken so far.
We've focused on the primary sources, going back to like what the IRS has out there, and it does, like, it changes and you see different information.
Yeah, we did we did 2 videos. I did 2 videos right away and got 2 videos out there. But, as we know, professionals being in this industry, the IRS didn't even have anything on their website for at least a week and a half.
Yeah.
And, clients were emailing and asking, well, hey, we heard the deadline got changed. And like, well, what you heard was on the news. And we had to temper that. And that's, I think, when I took the approach of, be careful what we share.
Debbie, you were going to make a comment?
Oh, I was going to say that we're kind of in between Emily and Dan, because we have summarized the information into bullet points, because I've found that people don't read articles, or they read them the way they want to read them instead of the actual fact itself. And so we've put out some bullet points for people, and kind of in a flow chart way. So you could say, oh, I'm an individual and I have no children, and so this impacts me this way. And I am married and I am impacted this way. So we're trying to help them make those decisions. We also put out a coronavirus survival kit, and have been offering that free to anybody who wants to have that. It's the place where we have put out every single thing that's out there in a way that is easy to understand, and as well about 12 items that businesses can do to make sure that they are able to stay viable during this time. And we didn't send out the email that said, you know, this is what we're doing to keep you safe. And we're not using it as a way to market, which really bugs me when I hear that on the radio. Car
Well-
dealerships marketing how they're going to make you safe by buying a car and not having to pay for it for 90 days. So we're
I
not
think-
manipulating people.
Yeah, I think synthesizing the barrage of information that comes in, it really helps the clients not to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that you're a great writer, Andrea, and can you tell us how you've been funneling the information to your clients in a way that is digestible?
Sure, and Debbie, it sounds like we're doing something like you. I'm not as creative, so I don't have flow charts, but I love that idea. What I've been doing is I'm also the president, or one of the presidents of my professional group. It's the Long Island chapter, and we have about, not quite, but about over 600 members or membership firms. So a lot of these questions come to me anyway. And I had been doing 2 blog posts a week and 1 email blast a month. Well, that became, as everybody's saying, there's so much information out there and there's so much misinformation. And for me, what I felt was the scary part is not having the correct information. And if I tell you, I was in the post office like that first weekend, and we closed down way earlier than everybody else because I just knew. So I had to get something out to a client, and I went to the post office, and I'm standing there finishing up because, of course, it wasn't done by the time the post office was closing. And they were all talking, and they're saying, oh, I heard on the news that we don't have to file our tax returns till July. And I'm going, not in New York State. We didn't have a ruling yet. And they're going, I heard the governor. My governor said on TV. And I said, check the New York State website. So our governor did ask for that, and finally we did get that just this Saturday, the 26th or whatever day it was. Just got passed into statute, but we have not known this entire time whether we had an extension on time to file and time to pay for New York State. So we might have had to file federal and file state, and then have an extension for federal. And we also have New York City, and that has not, it's been extended for 10 days to do a filing with a waiver. It's basically not extended. So for those businesses who have to file something that's due April 15th, they have till April 25th. Thank you. That's so nice. But anyway, so the point was that everybody's got the wrong information.
Yeah.
And it's very, very scary. It's scary for us as CPAs because, and tax professionals, to be able to explain to people, hey, you've got the wrong information. What else do they have the wrong information about? And so there's all these loans coming out. Are these loans forgiven? Are we allowed to fire people? Are they furloughed? What does that mean? There's so many things coming at them. So what I've been doing is I've been doing like a morning briefing and sharing a link to the New York Times and just adding like my own piece and just either putting that out on social media or making it a blog. And when it's that important, I'll do an email blast as well, because not everybody, believe it or not, is on social media. And so for my clients, I know I also have to send emails, and then they can share that. So today's, actually, instead of going out, we always schedule them for 9:15 or 10:15 Eastern time. We did one at 2 o'clock because we really wanted to focus. There was some new information that came out about loan grants that we felt was so important. We wanted to understand it first and then be able to give, like Debbie, like you're doing, bullet point and a link to the actual source, which was either the small business, the Chamber of Commerce, the IRS, New York State, Department of whoever the real source of the information was, and just a quick little snippet, this might apply to you. And today we really talked about the small business loans, and also are people able to apply for unemployment insurance, and what does that mean? So I think it's just a lot of fear, again, about the unknown, and I think that they come to look at all of us as the people that, even if they can just speak to us and say, and we let them know, yes, we're aware of this. We still don't know they have the answer. We were saying yesterday's email was, we went to the IRS website. There's a big thing that says, we're still trying to figure out the answers too, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So, you know, and people, you know, they're nervous and they're impatient, and it's our job to calm them down, tell them to take a deep breath, and, you know, really just think about the things that are really so much more important. And that's everybody's health, and that, you know, you're doing the right thing by staying inside and, you know, sending your staff home, or whatever it is that they're doing, and it's to reinforce that, you know, these are really scary times, and we just want everybody to be healthy and safe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think in regards to information that is being shared out there in the public, you know, depending on the business owner's most painful spot. So whether that's payroll, or whether if that's paying the mortgage, the rent, or whatever it is, depending on which one is the bigger pain right now for them, is how they gravitate to the information that is put out there, and they just zero in on that very thing that is, if it's payroll, if it's talking about payroll. But you know, a business owner that is going through a lot, information alone is not sufficient for them, because they're already dealing with a lot of things. It's not just their business. Is their kids are at home? Is there, you know, is there underlying health issues? There is a lot of mental health issues that come up for the healthiest of us out there, because of these things that are happening. So what really sets you apart in terms of being the helpers during this time is to actually doing a little bit of a hand holding, and whether if that's doing group calls with your business clients, but even beyond that, just spending time with them and saying, look, I got you. I got you. You don't have to know everything, because I make it my responsibility. The burden falls on me as your accountant to educate myself on these changes. Because let's face it, no one really knows their business better than you do. True? And so you've most likely, you've known about them, their families, the history of the business, the fabric of the business. So it's good to share information, but it's even more important to say, you know, imagine if you are, God forbid, if you are sick and your doctor comes and gives you a barrage of information about your health. It could be overwhelming, right? What you want from your physician is, what can you do to fix me? What can you do to fix my sickness, to make it go away? So if we think of this in those terms, is what you can do for the small businesses beyond just sharing information that will connect the dots for them. You know, and so that's one thing. The other thing that I think that in the industry, as accountants, we have an opportunity to make an impact, is that there's a lot of businesses that fall through the crack, right? Because they're not a good fit here, they're not a good fit there, and so they don't know exactly how this applies to them. If you're a startup and you've gotten you know, some seed money coming to you from angel investors or whatnot, how's that apply to you? If you're a newly formed business, if there's no history, there's all these nuances that it is up to you to first get educated on it and then pass that along. What is your, if we have any businesses right now online that are watching this webinar, what would be an advice that you would give them based on what you've seen? What is one good thing you can tell them that will help them carry themselves from where they are to next? What is the next thing that they should be doing? Just a quick thing. Let's go. Let's start from left to right from my screen here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So first thing I would do is cash flow projections. I mean, if there's anything you can do, get a handle on your cash flow projection, and model out 3 different scenarios. What's worst case, what's maybe a step up from worst case, and then what's likely to happen, and manage your cash and manage your business accordingly. think about if you had to lay off all of your team, if you had to lay off half of your team, and start building a model. If we're going to be getting loans, that's going to be 60 days down the road, if not longer. So as business owners, you think through how you're going to start to manage your expenses very tightly. And then the next thing I would do after that is, if you have customers and you're on a traditional pay cycle, start calling your customers and just being open with them, talking to them, get a payment plan in place, let them know, hey, we're all in this together. I don't expect full payment, but I do expect, let's start taking care of our employees and doing the things that we minimally need to do to all stay in business. That's how I would start.
Okay, good advice, Dan. Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else?
So, Dan, I think that's great advice, and we've actually been testing out software that will help us with that. But the first thing I actually tell them is to not jump to do anything, because I think that they go into a panic attack and they want to start, laying off people or applying for loans, and that can really be a mistake. And so what we did was we reached out to everyone, all our business clients, personally by phone. We assigned staff members who was going to call who, and we just said, please just relax. You never want to jump into anything without thinking it through. And so I think that goes hand in hand with what you're saying, Dan, is absolutely, we're looking at scenarios, and today we created a document that would help them apply for the, what is it called? The emergency something, that EDLC, I don't know, whatever those initials are, that $10,000 that they can apply for pretty quickly. And what's nice is that we can support our clients because we have their financial information, and so that's one piece that they don't have to worry about, because they can call us or we can call them and say, these are the pieces that they're going to be asking you for. So what we usually do is we'll test it on ourselves. So I actually did that, and it took like 5-10 minutes, and the big questions I had, oh my God, what's our bank account number? And so that was our question. But we are also on cloud-based software, so everybody is they're up there. We just click a button and we've got their payroll and their financials, and we can adjust the period that we have to report on. So I think
I just want to jump in maybe to be an offer of help there. What cloud-based accounting software are you using with most of your clients?
I'm using QBO.
Okay, so have you looked at Fathom?
I have. I've looked at Fathom, and we're actually using QBO, and we're using LivePlan.
Okay, got it. Okay.
That combination, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Good. Any feedback from you, Emily, for any business clients that may be, or businesses, excuse me, that may be listening to the webinar?
I would definitely say start organizing your documents as best you can. I've seen some good lists from some reputable lenders that are just saying these are the initial documents and items you're going to need to apply. And I don't, they can apply. I think one thing they do need to know is just because they apply doesn't mean they have to accept the loan, but at least start the process, because at least you know where you stand and what your options are, which give you that chance to fill in a gap on that cash flow forecast and see what you can deal with, what your options are. But I thought that was, I think just some of my reading, everything like that, that was really what came across well to me, was that just because you apply and get the opportunity doesn't mean you actually have to close on that. But it's a process and it's going to take a while. So starting now and organizing yourself is the best. And I agree with Andrea, you do worry that people panic and then they lay off people, and maybe they don't have to lay them off, and so, yeah, as long as you can, hold tight for a little bit as the information continues to come out and we get better details. Yeah,
there's good advice. Debbie, it's interesting for you during this time, you actually had, you've picked up some new clients because they were sort of riding the wave up to now, and then now it's starting to get really serious. So they're seeking that sort of extra level of help. So what kind of advice you give them when they walk in and they're sort of in this panic mode? What do you tell them?
Well, first thing I do, as well as everybody else said, is just stop and breathe for a minute, because, you know, nobody's bleeding at the moment, and it may seem dire, but these things will pass at some point. But a couple things that you guys haven't touched on that I think are important as well is shoring up your security. We've already had 3 attempts at breaching our cloud. And because we have amazing security set up, most businesses don't have squat for security. And there's people out there that's their hobby or their job is to try to break into your system. And so that's something that I'm really making sure people are thinking about. Also, thinking about additional revenue streams. No matter what kind of business you're in, even if you know, anything can happen at any moment. And so having multiple streams of revenue is always going to be something that's you can fall back on to shore up the business. Income taxes, we were all set up right to get everything done. Probably a third of my business is income tax preparation, where we would make a third of our revenue for the whole year by April 15th. And we looked at our numbers yesterday, and only half of the business that we normally get has come in already. So does that mean that we're spreading it out over 6.5 months? Or does that mean, you know, we don't know what it means. And so in any business, you have to think of other types of revenue streams. So we're working with a lot of our clients to figure out what those are, especially our clients who've completely had the rug ripped out from under them. Our restaurants and our physicians and our dentists and our hairdressers and our nail salons who can't do anything. There's no reason to think they're doomed for life. We have to figure out some ways to open up their minds and have them think a little differently.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that leadership, Debbie, because it's really, as Dan mentioned earlier as well, this is the time for you guys to really lead the businesses that you come in contact with. And a lot of times you're the only one who is of sober mind because they're going through these crises and they're not able to think straight. So just telling them to just step back, relax, and let us just work through this is very important. And yes, you're right, we will get through this. And there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. And you know what they're going to remember? They're going to remember who was in the trenches with them during those times. And I'm just so privileged to be able to be a part of the industry and to see and witness you guys do what you do.
Maybe they'll also believe us too, right?
Yeah.
We've been telling them to save money for years, and they don't. So maybe now they'll go, oh, guess you were right.
Now you got their attention.
I'd just like to jump in on, Debbie, you brought up a really key point, and I did have that on the list to bring up, and I thank you for that too. Both points were excellent, and and I agree. So the security issue, we just had a question in the chat box about someone who was doing a video chat, a seminar, and they were hacked and they came in. So we've been using a paid version, and we always have a password. And they also said that they have a pro account and a password too. And so that's just one piece, and that's annoying. But we've been hearing that many practitioners and other types of businesses like law firms have, because they rush to get remote or to work remotely or whatever, they have been using free version of GoToMeeting, one of those log me in or something, free versions. And just like any free version, it's limited in security. And if your IT person hasn't set it up and put in, I don't have my phone with me right now because somebody grabbed it, because we always have the double authentication and we have to press that button, which is annoying, but we know why we do it. So I think that the security issue is huge, because not only are they logging into, meetings such as this, but they're going into people's computers, and our computers and law firm computers have all kinds of great stuff for identity theft. So I think it's really important. I don't know how much it costs a month. I could care less, but to buy the paid versions and have your IT person set it up, it's so much quicker when you have a professional doing it. We always say, don't try to do your taxes yourself, because you're spending more on what you're missing, right? Same thing with security, and I thank you, Debbie, for bringing that up, because that is one of the things that we're focusing on. We're doing a series of meetings for our membership, 3 days a week, a daily briefing, and you're screen sharing, one of our first sessions is going to be having an IT person speaking and talking about the criticalness of having a secure way to log on remotely.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Thank you on that.
Yeah, security is quite important. I really want to thank all our panelists. Gosh, it went by too fast. We still have another last section that is coming up here, but for all of you who are listening, we will be doing some more webinars like this. Probably the next ones you'll see will be on an individual basis with each of our panelists. So we can go dive in a little deeper, and they can provide you with some more information, and we can spend a little bit more time with each of them. But you don't have to wait for our webinars. You can reach out to them. You can ask them questions, whether if you are a CPA, accountant, or some other business owner. I think they have a heart to help, and they'll be open to getting any kind of contact from you, and feel free to get in touch with them. So with that in mind, Eli, I will pass it to you.
Thank you, Sia. Hello again, everybody. So really quickly, we did get a couple questions. So the first question, I'll just read them out here, is from Mike. For the firms that are now working remotely, has there been any change, plus or minus, in utilization? Do any of our panelists want to answer that question?
I was actually trying to type in the answer, but that didn't work. What I did was I'm utilizing them slightly, my staff slightly differently. I know that some of them have some strengths in other areas other than accounting. And so I've been, trying to see what other things they can do. They now no longer have a commute, which is huge. And so I've had some of them do some writing, and some of them do some research on all these issues, and also doing more like customer service type stuff, like reaching out to the clients and just trying to get them information and try to answer questions. So just rearranging some of the things that we might be doing. What is this, April 30th? We'd be working on extensions right now, right? So instead, we're doing things slightly different, and trying to hopefully, bring people some
we actually have 3 admin people who were really worried about working from home, the fact that they would get laid off. And we've got them all reaching out to the 1,100 clients that we have, and just calling them and saying, hey, how can we help? And I actually made a phone call the other day, and one of my older clients said, well, Debbie, I really could use some groceries. I can't get out. And so I called my little house mouse, Jeff, and said, hey, go pick up some groceries for Mark. And he delivered them to him. And he just, it's not just business support that we need to be for our clients. Some people have different needs, and his business was the last thing he could think of. He didn't have any food. So.
Fantastic. So we did also get one more question. Is there any decent software out there to help with those cash flow models that Dan was talking about?
So I guess we're using LivePlan. I guess, Dan, you're using Fathom?
We are using Fathom for many of our clients. If you're in our business, you may look at using Profit Sense. I know if you're a CPA firm and you subscribe to Profit Sense, that has some really good tools as well for modeling. If you are a business owner, you look at Fathom or Live Plan or Excel or something else.
Great. So unless anybody else would like to chime in here, Sia, back to you for a minute.
Yeah, thank you, Eli. Great questions. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to any of our panelists. I do want to make an announcement here for any businesses out there that are they're a non-accounting business. I was trying to get this word out. But if you are a business, you want to reach out to us, feel free to do so. But before I make my announcement, I want to give a special thanks to our panelists who just really are the helpers during these times of crisis. Please go ahead and feel free to reach out to them if you are a small business or medium-sized business or frankly a large business. They have a great breadth of experience, and let their experience go to work for you and help you with what you need. And if you don't capture, if you don't have your cell phones out and taking a picture of the screen now, no worries. You can reach out to me, and I'm happy to go ahead and help you with that. So thank you for joining us in this webinar. Thank you for our panelists. I salute you for doing what you're doing in these times. What we want to do is that we want to go ahead and do our share of what we can do to help at FY. And for doing that, we are offering a free business coaching to any small, medium, or large businesses that may not be able to afford any type of help like this. We're here for you. Now, obviously, we also have limited resources, so up to a certain point where we can, where for a limited time we are offering this. There is no, marketing agenda or anything. Just this is a way of us being able to help you out in terms of coaching your business. And if you need further help from that, we can certainly direct you to resources or any of the CPAs or accountants that can help you as well. It is available to all types of businesses, and you can find out more about that by filling out your information on fy-usa.com/contact. There's an option for you if you are a business. We spend our time working with CPAs and accountants and training them on how to coach businesses. We always do it that way, but for this time we thought, how can we get out there and help some more? And this is the way that we find out that we can do this. So feel free to do that. So without any more delay, thank you so much, and I'll give it back to you, Eli.
Thank you, Sia. And a huge thank you to our panelists, Andrea, Dan, Debbie, and Emily. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all taking this time out to help out the business community. And thank you so much for your very, very good advice. So for anybody who'd like to reach out to our panelists, please feel free to visit their websites or email them directly. And again, thank you. If you'd like to learn more about FYUSA, please visit our website, fy-usa.com. We're on Twitter, we're on LinkedIn, and we're on Facebook. So please feel free to connect us or follow us. And for any further questions, you can reach Sia directly at his email address, scal@fyinternational.com. So thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.